Hey everybody, Blades of God here from Hammer Bros Gaming, coming at you with the newest installment in our Gears Tactics, Immortal Legion Achievement Guide. Today we're going to be covering Act 2, Chapter 2, and Act 2, Chapter 3. Act 2 is a scavenger run mission. It's very short, only about 9 or 10 minutes to complete. And Act 2-3 is a little bit longer. It's a rescue mission, so we're going to be saving some gears from some torture pods. If you're not familiar with the Immortal Legion achievement, which I imagine you are at this point if you're watching this guide, then what you need to do is complete the entirety of the game on the hardest difficulty setting without losing a single unit. I'm doing this in the classic game mode. I'm not doing it in jacked game mode. I just found it to be much simpler without the additional enemies being put on the map. But it is absolutely completable in jacked game mode if you find that to be easier. However, do know that some of the strategies will be slightly different with the addition of new enemies and a new ally. A couple of things to note is that through Act 2, some of our main units are going to be, or our main characters are going to be banned from certain missions due to things that are going on in the story. So we're going to have to make use of some of our recruits. And other than that, it's just going to be a bit of a difficult mission. We're going to be introduced in Act 2-3 to the ticker enemy. In the previous mission, Act 2-1, we were introduced to boomers. So a lot of new enemies to deal with, but nothing that we won't be able to handle. If you're finding this video guide to be, this video series to be helpful, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel, Hammer Bros Gaming. We would definitely love for you to become part of Hammer Nation. Join the team. Check out our merch if you want. We've got some pretty cool merch out. But other than that, I appreciate you taking the time to check out this video. Hopefully you find it to be helpful and useful, but that's enough gabbing for me. Let's get to the video because I know that's the reason that you're here. Just like in every guide, we're going to start by taking a look at our skills. Looking at our scout, we have Proximity Mine level 2, Free Cloak, Stalker, Frag Grenade Mastery, Sprint level 1, and Cloak. Looking at our Nasher, we can see that we have the Disrupt Handle, we have Accuracy Bonus, we have Damage Increase. For the chest plate, we are running the Evasion with Ranger Treads, and then for the legs we're running Movement Increase, and that is for the scavenger run mission that we're running because we want to increase the distance that she can travel. Looking at Sid, we have Rage Shot, Recharging Bayonet, Free Bayonet, Enraged Bayonet, Executioner, Intimidate, and Regeneration. His weaponry, his Retro Lancer, we have the Sleek Stock, Extended Mag, Digital Scope, and we have the Power Barrel to maximize our damage output. Frag Grenade and Pistol, make sure your pistol's upgraded. And then we still are wearing the Veteran Armor and Veteran Legs that he started the game with. Makes him very tanky. 60 health is enough to actually make the difference sometimes between a partial hit killing you and you surviving. So we're sticking with that for armor. Then looking at our heavy Tyrone, we have the Potency skill, Defensive Anchor, Healing Anchor, Explosive Shot, and his standard Anchor skill. Looking at his Mulcher, we have the Power Handle, Extended Mag, Precision Adapters, and Power Barrel for accuracy and damage boosts. For armor, we have Untraceable and with 20% health using the Destroyer Vest. But we're actually going to switch over to Delta Kit, which is going to give him the Autoloader ability. And then we have Destroyer Legs, but we're actually going to give him Ranger Treads because that little bit of extra movement and evasion can be helpful when it comes to these scavenger run missions to increase our distance we can move. Looking at the other heavy, we have the Power Handle, Precision Mags, Power Barrel, and Extended Mag, and that's going to give us good damage and accuracy bonuses. We have Magazine Extension with health on the legs, and then we have the Blitz ability on the uppers to give us extra action points if we don't take a shot during a turn. What I'm doing here is I was considering bringing in another unit. I kind of wanted to have a sniper, but I wasn't really happy with the sniper setups that I had, so I end up going back to recruit troops to see if I could get a better sniper, but unfortunately I think there's only a heavy in my recruitment pool, if you will. Yeah, so there was another heavy in the recruitment pool, which doesn't do me any good. So instead, since I already had Brenda all set up, I decided, I'm just going to bring Brenda with me instead. So we do end up bringing two heavies into this mission. So we have the Scout Marcella, we have Sid, and then we have our two heavies. Now, the interesting thing about these scavenger run missions is that it actually continuously forces you to move. You cannot slow play this, and if you've been watching the guide up to this point, you know that my go-to move is to slow play these maps. Unfortunately, because the Nemesis are bombing the area directly behind you, you cannot fall back into that red at the end of your turn. You need to continue to move up. So it really forces you to be aggressive. Thankfully, the game doesn't throw too many enemies in your way. There's enough to definitely be a pain, but nothing too bad. At the start of the mission, there's no enemies on the field, so maximize the distance you move and just move up as far as you can. You can see on this map there's actually a case that you can grab right off the bat, and then you're going to have a Reaver drop in 3 Wretches and 2 Grenadiers. I don't know if this is the same every single time, but every time that I have played this game on Insane, that has been the enemy drop for the first set of enemies. Again, the AI for both these unit types is very similar. They're very aggressive and they like to charge straight ahead. So you can see that I have the 3 Wretches that are fairly close together. They're bunched up, and we can definitely take them out with 1 grenade. So that's what we're going to do. Get all 3 of them off the map. And now the next thing we need to worry about is these 2 Grenadiers. So we're going to move up. You can see because I have the Blitz ability with the Scout, I ended up getting an extra action point. So that's why I have 4. We're going to move up. And we don't want to get too close because we don't want those Grenadiers to be able to get right up in our face and shoot us. The idea is we want to get close enough to be able to damage them, and then we're going to use Sid's Retro Charge to take one of them off the map. But unfortunately, we don't have Gabe with us with his chainsaw, and I didn't bring a Scout with me, so we don't have an additional insta-kill attack. So it's going to be concentrated fire to take the second one off the board. Now you can see how quickly this blast zone moves up. You need to be continuously moving and really pushing forward, so you cannot stay in the same place for 2 turns in a row. You're going to see right here, I just damaged one of those Grenadiers using the pistol just to do a little bit of damage on him, and now I'm going to use Sid to take him off the board. The nice thing about the Retro Charge is that it does cover a lot of ground. So you can really move up very quickly with Sid when you're retro-charging the enemies. And again, I'm going to use my attack because with one of the skills, you end up getting increased damage if you retro-kill an enemy. So might as well use that to our advantage and maximize the damage output against that Grenadier. Going to move up my Heavy, and somehow from almost point blank he missed. But not a big deal. We're still out of the blast zone, so we're doing okay. After this point, after you get through this little bridge area, you have to make a decision whether you're going to go left or right, or split, or I should say left or straight, or split your units. There are 3 or 4 additional cases to get, 2 to the left, 2 straight ahead. You only need to collect 2 more to complete the mission and get to the extraction zone. And what I like to do is I send 1 unit to the left, and normally I send a very high movement unit like my Scout. But this time around, I decided I wanted to keep my Scout and their grenade abilities with my main group, or my main squad, which is going to be going straight ahead. The area to the left, there's a set of stairs that go up into the left, and it's very safe. There's no enemies that are going to drop in up there. However, you have to move laterally for a couple of turns to cover all that distance, and you can run into some trouble with the blast zone closing in on you. So you can see I'm going to send Brenda up these stairs to get that case to the left. And then that's going to leave me 3 other units to deal with these snipers. Thankfully, the game is a little forgiving when you're playing on Insane as far as not overwhelming you with enemies. I think on lower difficulties you definitely get more enemy spawns right here. But 3 snipers is not bad. I do mess myself up while I'm positioning my Scout. I put her behind a pillar, not realizing that she would not be able to get a grenade throw on these snipers. So yeah, I kind of screwed myself up a little bit here, but not a big deal, not the end of the world. I still have other units that I can use. You can see I'm desperately trying to figure out a way to ricochet or bounce this grenade around so I can get some damage. And I find that I can bounce it off that box to at least hit 2 of the snipers. So we bounce it off the box, we hit 2 of the snipers. Not bad, not great, but definitely not bad. So now we're going to move Sid up. Again, I'm trying to make sure that I can get an angle on some of these guys with a grenade, and just make sure I'm not going to end up positioning myself in a way that the snipers will have a clear shot on me and I won't have a shot on them. But this works out well. I'm able to take 2 of the snipers off the board with a grenade and severely damage the 3rd sniper. We've moved up out of the blast zone, so that's good. And now we're going to move Tyrone up, trying to find a way that I can get him in a position to either shoot or throw a grenade at this last drone, and I'm being very, very conscientious of where the 2 AP movement turns into a 3 AP movement, because I need to make sure I have one action point left to either shoot or throw a grenade and get that sniper off the board. So you can see I'm checking different areas, different locations. I know that I have a grenade, so I'm not really worried about cover so much as I am just making sure that it's viable for me to get that additional grenade on that sniper and take him off the board. I decide to put him right next to Sid. It works out fine. I'm able to get the grenade tossed over there. And again, this all could have been avoided if I had just put my scout in a better location. The scout and then Sid could have taken those all off the board without any problems. So I made my own problems on that, but it's okay. We got through it. So now there's no enemies on the board. We're going to use this opportunity to just rush up as far as we can, because we should have one turn before we have the next set of enemy reinforcements. So I'm not even going to worry about really cover all that much. This is just a cover as much ground as we can with this movement turn. I know that there's no E-holes on this map. All the reinforcements come in by way of Reavers, and enemies that come in on Reavers do not attack on the same turn. They can move, but they won't attack. So I don't need to worry about anything popping up and attacking, so if I'm out in the open a little bit, I'm okay. You can see I just grabbed the third case. There's 2 more on the map. We will grab one of them, but the right-hand case actually has a lot of drone enemies that drop around it. So we aren't going to collect that one on the far right. We will be collecting the one on the left that Brenda's going to run right by. But at this point, we're basically beelining it to the extraction point. You want to make sure that you keep yourself in cover. So you want your cover to be to the right of you, and you want to be to the left side of any cover at this point, because you're going to have a Reaver drop off a bunch of drones on the right up on that elevated area by the last case, and they will shoot down at you either down the stairs or over the, I don't know what you want to call it, safety rail, guardrail. But you can see there we go. We got 5 drones that are coming in, and they split themselves up, so even if you were to try to go up there and frag them, it's not going to work very well. So stay to the left. You're going to want to make sure that you stay in cover. You can see all my units are covered fairly well right now. And if you're sort of in the same area I am, you're not going to be able to rush all the way to the extraction point in one go. So you can see I'm kind of moving my units to the left side of the map, just to maximize the distance between me and the drones and to make sure I don't get stuck in an Overwatch cone or anything like that, because I really want to get into that extraction zone on the next turn. We're making use of our cover. This is only half cover that I have Sid behind right now, and it's sort of weighing the options of, do I try to go for full cover and be further from the extraction zone and then risk not being able to reach it on the next turn, or do I risk half cover? I decide that with the unit and looking at how far the movement range was, this time I should be able to hit that extraction point regardless of where I put my heavy. So they're behind full cover. Sid's in half cover. He's in the worst position right now, and you can see these drones are advancing on me, and they're trying to, they don't shoot, thankfully, but they are getting me in an Overwatch cone. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work to get Sid freed up so he can make it to the extraction point. Not a big deal. We have pistols with disruption shot. So it's not a really big deal. You can see I'm going to try to use disrupt shot on this guy, and it hits, so he's interrupted. That means Sid is free to go, and thankfully the Marcella was up close enough that even with 2 action points, she's going to be close enough to get into the ring. Sid's in the ring, and now everyone's home free. We got 4 out of 5 cases, and that's pretty good for Impossible. We didn't complete the bonus objective, which was to collect all the cases, but you know what? That's okay. I'm still counting this as a win and a very successful mission. So we're going to pop open these cases, and then we will be quickly moving on to Act 2-3, and we will kind of take it from there. 2-3 is a whole different beast. We're going to be able to slow play it a little bit more. It's a rescue mission, so we're not going to be able to totally slow play it. There is a kill timer. We need to rescue both gears within 15 turns. But at least we don't have Nemesis breathing down our necks. So let's open up these cases, or claim these cases. We got 4 rare cases to collect, and we end up getting some pretty good loot. We get the UIR Grenadier chest, which is good. We get the power barrel for the mulcher. We get the wrap barrel for the sniper, and we get a crit padded stock for the snipe for the long shot. So a lot of good stuff. We're going to throw the UIR regulator on Marcella, our scout, and that's because with the scout's grenade abilities, it's naturally a good fit to try to maximize her grenade, usage. Gabe got a couple of parts for his Lancer. We're going to upgrade his precision scope to a 7% accuracy bonus, so we definitely like that. Then Michaela's the big winner here. She's getting a padded stock that goes from 30 to 40% crit damage and 15 to 30 on the wrap barrel for damage. Tyrone is going to get a power barrel upgrade from 15 to 30. And that is it. That was what we got for goodies. So a little bit of something for almost everybody. And now we're going to jump directly into Act 2-3, AWOL. Optional objectives to complete it in 15 turns or less. I'm going to only be running 2 characters as that's a requirement. We're taking Michaela because we like her chain shot and her quick fingers ability. And we like Marcella for her awesome grenade abilities and her ghost ability. So here we go, Act 2, Chapter 3. Now in this chapter, we are going to actually get introduced to a new enemy type or a new enemy unit, and those are the Tickers. Now, when it comes to new enemies or enemies in general, the Tickers are almost more of a benefit than they are a hindrance, because they can chain explosions together and their damage stacks. So if you can get a group of them clustered together, you can actually create a chain reaction that leads to the death of other surrounding enemies. It's a little bit more difficult to do in this mission because there's only a handful of Tickers, but in later side missions, we're going to see a lot of Tickers stacked up together, and we're going to have some really good chain reactions happen. So we have our little video of our intro. It happens after you move your characters for the first time, or your units for the first time, and we're going to be going for the left torture pod first, or I guess if you orient the map so the top of the screen is north, we're going to be going for the west torture pod first. Gonna grab this new this new loot case, because we definitely want to be grabbing all of those that we can without having to go too far out of our way. And even though that there is a kill timer going, so we have to do this, we have to rescue both of the gears within 15 turns, we're not gonna rush. There's not a lot of enemies between us and the torture pods, and we're going to get this done very smart. We're not going to try to rush and kind of abandon our normal play type, because that's just not going to work for us. So we've got the Tickers coming up the right side at us, and then right around the torture pod we have 4 rifle drones, and what we're going to want to do is sort of put our units in this little pathway here. So we want to lure all of the rifle drones to come down through that doorway, and the reason we want this is because we don't want to give them the chance to flank, and we want the AI to be so engaged with us being up close and personal with them that they're not going to have any desire to go around and try to flank us. So you can see we moved Michaela up kind of close. We wanted to increase her chance of hitting an enemy, and we're going to use chain shot on that enemy to make sure that we have additional shots to do some more damage. We're going to actually pull out our frag grenade so we can take that unit that we just shot off the board and damage 2 more units with our grenades. So this is a really good grenade toss right here. This was a good start to this map. We're down to 3 rifle drones. I still got 1 shot left with Michaela. So boom, that puts him in the down but not out status. And now we have 2 drones that are up and 2 drones that are out, well, at least temporarily out of commission. Now we're going to make use of Marcella's, what is it called? The proximity mine ability. And you can see I'm having a bit of trouble landing this where I want it. I'm trying to get it on the right side of the map so the Tickers can't really come up and bother us. But right about there would be a good place. I decided at the last minute that I'm actually going to move it to the left. I realized how far the Tickers were away from my units and that there was no way they would get to me in the next turn. So instead, I set it in the doorway that we're trying to lure our drones through. And the reason I do this is because I want to either A, kill that drone that is damaged from Michaela's frag throw, or I want to severely injure the other drone who was advancing. So unfortunately what happened was neither of the drones took the bait or advanced far enough for them to hit the proximity mine, and unfortunately the AI decided that it was going to flank me. So this did not work out the way I had wanted it to, but it's okay. We're going to adapt and overcome. We can see that Michaela is being overwatched right now by 2 enemies, so she cannot move without triggering a response from those enemies. And we have a Ticker who moved up close enough that on the next turn he would indeed blow up one of my units. I don't know which one he would go to, but we need to prioritize what we have for enemies and figure out what we need to deal with. So we've got a down but not out, we get 2 rifle drones overwatching, we've got a ticker. The first thing that we need to do is take out that ticker, because that is a guarantee kill on the next enemy turn. The drones, there's a chance they're going to shoot at Michaela if we don't take them off the map, but that is a lower priority chance, or a lower percentage chance, than that ticker blowing us up. So we moved Marcella up, and we're going to use her grenade to disable the overwatch of this furthest drone, because that's the one that is pinning Michaela right now. And then we're going to focus on taking out that ticker. You can see right here, Michaela has a good shot on both those enemies, but I don't like the percentage. So what I'm going to do is actually kick the ticker away, and this is going to do 2 things. If I use Michaela to kick this ticker out, it's going to give me the chance to get the high ground, which you see right here, and it would move the ticker further away. Now, 47% chance is not great, but I try it and I miss, which was probably kind of foolish. I definitely should have played that smarter. And you can see we got a 50% chance on that ticker. The thing with the ticker is that if you shoot at it and it doesn't die, then the ticker ends up advancing on you. So if you shoot at it, if you hit it and it doesn't die, or if you miss, the ticker ends up advancing on you, which is not good, because if it gets close enough, it's going to detonate and you die. So I overwatched thinking that I would handle the ticker that way, but then I decided to use my last action shot with Michaela to take it off the board, and that got rid of 1 ticker. Thankfully, when the rifle drone advanced, it was only a partial hit, so it didn't really do all that much damage because I was in half cover. That could have been bad, but again, sometimes the AI is a little bit forgiving. And now I'm going to use the kick ability, and this is something else about tickers, which you should know, is that you can kick them to give them distance. And this is what I'm talking about chaining together some of these enemy, some of the explosions to take out other enemies. So we've got 1 ticker that's on his side, and tickers that are on their side are much easier to hit, plus I'm on the high ground, so I knew that was a good shot, and its explosion took out the other ticker. So now all the tickers are off the map. The drone that we had downed a couple of turns ago, he expired, so this is the last enemy that is on the map right now. Unfortunately, he's overwatching my location, so I'm going to use my invisibility, or my ghost stealth, whatever it's called, to advance through the overwatch without triggering it, get up close and personal, and then take that drone out using Marcella's shotgun. So we're down to 11 turns, or this will be 10 turns, I suppose. And we've used 1/3 of our total turns in order to clear out the first batch of enemies and rescue our first gear. Now, the problem with this is that, well, I guess not the problem, but the pace that this is setting is that you've got 5 turns to rescue your first gear, 5 turns to take out the reinforcements after you rescue your first gear, and then 5 turns to rescue your second gear. You can see there I had to restart. I ended up rushing a little too much with these grenadiers in the next section, and I ended up dying. So I just reverted to checkpoint, but it's nothing else changed. Still got the same units with me, got the same gear, same everything else. Just didn't want to show you the replay of the same gameplay footage. So we rescued our gear, and here we go. We've got 3 grenadiers who are coming in. I overwatched with Michaela into the middle, and that was because I'm on the high ground, so I've got a good hit percentage, and my crit chance is pretty decent from up here. It's 27%, so a little over a quarter. And just like with grenadiers in the past, normally we try to use our one-hit kills from our support and our vanguards to take these guys off the map, but unfortunately we don't have any of those units with us right now. Actually, we do have a vanguard. I'm sorry. That was the gear that we rescued. But what we're going to do is we're going to focus on injuring one of these grenadiers at a time. And you can see right there, I had 2 turns left with my vanguard, but I didn't advance, I didn't shoot. The reason I didn't do that was because I didn't want to give the grenadiers the extra movement they get when they're in their enraged status. We've got 2 grenadiers right now. I'm going to use Marcella's grenade and proximity mine abilities to kind of push these grenadiers around a little bit and try to get them into the open where I can use my retro charge. I am going to enrage both of them this time because I know that I can take one of them off the map with the retro charge. So there we go. And this is another useful tactic. Once you have Marcella or your scouts, I keep saying Marcella, but any of the scouts, once they have the proximity mine unlocked, you can actually do double damage by throwing a proximity mine close to your enemy, then throwing your frag grenade, and both the proximity mine and the frag grenade will detonate, causing double damage as long as they're going to be within the blast radius. So that's what I did there. It did a pretty good amount of damage to the 2 grenadiers. I took out the grenadier with more health using the retro charge, and then using my rescued vanguard's grenade, I took out the other grenadier. So that takes out all of the reinforcements from that Reaver drop, and I'm going to send one of my units down to the left to make sure we grab this loot crate or gear crate or whatever they call it. And just to be safe, I'm going to take this downed grenadier off the map using Michaela. It gives her the kill, which I have no idea how the EXP works, but an additional kill can't hurt my EXP total for Michaela, and we need her to get as much experience as possible. So now we're down to 7 turns. We've taken out the first round of enemies, we've taken out the reinforcements, and now we're going to be moving to the eastern torture pod. And we're going to have another 4 rifle drones up at the top of these stairs to deal with. And instead of rushing all my units up, I'm going to use the Vanguard and use my scout to kind of engage the enemy, have them come down the stairs, and then keep Michaela, the sniper, on the high ground and use her long distance, her long shot, and her range to take these enemies out and really put a hurting on them without them being able to get close enough to do a lot of damage to me. You can see the Overwatch there. I hit 2 of them, both crit hits, knocked them back up the stairs. Did great. We've got 6 turns left, which doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, we're doing fine. We're going to use, you can see we got fast fingers enabled, or ready. So I just downed that enemy. So I got the active reload plus 25% damage, and I still have chain shot available if I want it. So I'm going to try and hit the other enemy that I damaged because he has the highest percent. So we're going to hit with chain shot to hopefully buy me a couple of more action points. It hits, so boom, I got 2 more action points, which means 2 more shots. Hit him, he's down, so there now 2 of our 4 rifle drones are out of commission, at least temporarily. There is always the chance that the other rifle drones could come over and revive them, so it's something you have to weigh for yourself if you want to run the risk of one of these other enemies bringing the downed enemies back to life. Sometimes I like to throw a grenade or use a shot to take them out and completely kill them before they have a chance to be revived. You can see I did that right here. I would have used a grenade, but my grenade wasn't ready. So instead, I'm just going to go invisible. I'm going to use my increased, I think it's called the skill Stalker, which gives me an additional 20% movement range when I'm cloaked, and just kind of push up a little bit further. No real reason to do this other than the fact that it puts me in a better position to hurt these drones depending upon where they move. I was a little caught off guard by the fact that that drone ran that far down the stairs, but again, because Michaela's in such a good spot, she has an 87% crit hit chance from there with 100% accuracy, so I knew that that was going to hit and down the enemy. Plus it knocked his Overwatch out, which frees up my Vanguard. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to execute this enemy with the Vanguard. That's going to give both Michaela and Marcella an extra action point, and that's going to enable me to close the gap on, or use Marcella. I think I actually execute this other enemy with, yeah, I do. You can see there I'm getting overwatched, so I'm going to try to sneak up here and execute this enemy. And if I remember correctly, it's right, yeah, it's right on the edge of that Overwatch. So you can see I'm being very particular about where I set my my cursor to get that execution, so I don't trigger that reaction. Marcella actually goes into the Overwatch area to take cover without triggering the Overwatch action, which I don't know why I didn't get shot at, but I'm not going to question it. RNG decided, hey, you get a freebie on this one, so I'm going to take it. So now we're going to move up. You can see I got my retro charge still available, or it's recharged. So that means that I can now take this last drone off the map. Well, almost. If he was on flat ground, I'd be able to. So instead, I'm going to use the disabling shot, and that'll take out the Overwatch, or it would have, but it missed. So this is what I'm talking about on Insane. Sometimes you get really BS stuff where, you know, I had 2 chances to at least hurt or increase my odds of taking this enemy out, but unfortunately what happened was 95% hit didn't hit, and he was on 1 step, so I couldn't retro charge, because you can't go over uneven ground with a retro charge and have it hit.
So now there's a very good chance that what could have happened was that that drone turn and fire and kill me. Thankfully, instead, what happened was my Overwatch shot hit, it disrupted him, and he only got a partial hit on my scout, on my Vanguard, and my Vanguard survived. What also happened was that the disruption from Marcella's Nasher shot actually knocked him off the steps, so I was able to use my retro charge to take him off the map. So you could see we did all of that in a total of 11 turns. We had 4 turns remaining before the kill timer expired, so we successfully rescued our gears. So now all that's left is to return to the extraction point. The problem with that is that once the extraction point pops up, we're going to have reinforcements show up. So we're going to have, I believe it's 2 Grenadiers and a handful of Tickers, maybe 4 or 5 Tickers pop up. And you can see that we got another checkpoint here, so that's good. Make sure you grab this case. These cases, I think, are always in the same spot. I'm pretty sure I always remember these being in the same spot on the main campaign missions. So if they're available or if they're close enough that you can grab them without having to burn unnecessary action points by moving, please go ahead and grab them. It'll make your life easier. It never hurts to have extra gear on hand to choose from. And here come the enemy reinforcements that I was talking about. So boom, there we get a flight of 4 Tickers. Then we're going to have some more, I think more Tickers and then Grenadiers, or is it just Grenadiers? Just Grenadiers are going to drop in. So we get 4 Tickers and 2 Grenadiers to deal with. I don't know why the Grenadiers booked it to the right like that. Usually they advance towards me, but not an issue. At this point, there is no kill timer, so we can take our time. The only thing you got to be aware of is that eventually more reinforcements will come, so you don't want to take too much time. There is the complete the mission in 3 or less turns to complete the optional objective, but we're not going to worry about that because we're not going to try to rush through these Tickers. We're going to take it slow, clean out the Tickers from a distance, and then we'll make a rush for the extraction zone. So you can see as I'm trying to shoot this Ticker with my weapons that I continuously miss, and the Ticker just keeps advancing. In this situation where I'm quite a ways away from it, and I'm either doing partial hits or I'm completely missing, it's actually drawing the Ticker closer to the unit that's shooting at it. So what that does is increase the odds of me hitting that unit or hitting that Ticker with every time it moves. So as long as you know that you're far enough away, or you're in a situation like this where you have stairs that the Ticker would need to climb up to get to you, shooting at them and shooting at the Ticker when you know you're going to miss isn't actually a bad thing, because it will advance the Ticker and increase your ability to hit him and take him off the board. It sounds sort of a backwards logic, I guess, but once you get the hang of it and figuring out the distance that these Tickers can travel and where your safe zones are, where their explosion zones are, you can really use it. Again, right here, I knew I was not going to hit that Ticker, but it's moving him up closer. That time I got a hit, but he's going to move up closer again, and now I can use another unit to try and clean up this, I don't know, half health Ticker. Oh no, I used Marcella and a shotgun. That works too. But we're down to 3, both of our rescued gears have 3 AP and Michaela has 2. I'm pretty sure I've taken out all 4 of the Tickers at this point, and there's only 2 Grenadiers who are left. They're off to the right somewhere, I'm not entirely sure, but you can see where I have Michaela parked in this far right corner. The reason I have her there, it's not just by accident. Usually the units like to come up the middle here, and this is a really good spot to overwatch them. Again, I got 100% hit chance and 27% critical, so from here I've got my fast fingers and chain shot ability ready to go, and I can start kind of going to work on these enemies. I got 2 AP and 1 shot in the chamber, so I'm going to use my chain shot. It hits. I now have 3 shots. I can use my reload ability and still have 2 shots, plus I get 2 action points, plus I get the 25% damage from the active reload skill. So that's going to help. And you can see, this is what I'm talking about with these Grenadiers being tanky. That was 4 shots. 3 of them were normal. 1 was a critical just to put him into the down but not out status. So that is very, very bullet spongy. It takes a lot of action points to put these guys down if you're not using your retro charge and your chainsaw. So right now I've got my Vanguard lined up to do a retro charge, but I need to damage that other Grenadier a little bit first to take out his reactive shot or his reactive ability. So I use the grenade, and what I end up doing is actually pushing the Grenadier too far back with the grenade, so now that bench is in the way. I need to move up my Vanguard a little bit more, not so far that I use 2 action points. I can only use 1 because I need to save an action point to use the retro charge. And the corner of these, I don't know if it's barrels or sacks of something, is just far enough to get around that corner. You could actually see the line for the retro charge bent just a hair around the edge of that bench. But we'll take it. It gets the enemies off the board, and now I can use whatever action points I have left to advance towards the extraction zone. You could see the little message that popped up that said enemy or battlefield is clear of enemies, so you know you're safe to move. And once you take out all the enemies, you get 1 free turn right here that you're seeing where you have no enemies to deal with, but on the next turn you have more enemies drop in by Reaver. I'm not sure if the second wave of reinforcements is always the same, but for me this time around it's a flight of 4 grenadiers that drop into the right of the extraction zone. Again, based off the orientation of the screen right now, they drop off to the right, and that's a lot to deal with. 4 grenadiers is a lot on Insane. So I'm very happy that they can't advance very far. Again, any enemies that drop in via Reaver, they can move, but they can't attack, so you have this chance to move. And thankfully I'm able to get all of my units into the extraction zone, and we are good to go. So all enemies are accounted for, all allies are accounted for. We didn't lose anyone, so we're still good to go with the achievement. We're going to open up those cases that we got from this mission, and that's going to wrap up this guide for these Act 2-2 and 2-3. So let's see what we got. Hopefully we got some good stuff. Hopefully maybe Michaela leveled up. Oh, she does. Good. Michaela levels up, so that's awesome. And my roster size increased, so let's see what we got. This is going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you're finding this helpful. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, bye-bye. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. You can also check us out on Twitch at Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Bladesofgod, and until next time, have a great day everyone.